Somebody thought they got away with murder. They attacked your character, your finances, your family, your mind, your self-esteem, your relationships, your future, your legacy, your ideas, your intellectual property, your creativity, your fate, your fortune, your favor. Everything that they could launch attack against, they did so with full force. And the motivation was to leave you for dead and get away scot-free without a trace. But they didn't realize that not only were you still breathing, but your heart was still beating in perfect pace. And even more ironically, there seemed to be some type of secret surveillance, in spirit or in truth, that captured everything. And the evidence mounted against someone is not only convincing, it's conclusive and condemning. And now's the part where they get to pay for everything that they did. Seen and unseen, known and unknown. Justice will indeed be served. What's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Tuesday. All right, July 14th. It's 12:53 on the clock. Also, happy new moon in Cancer. We're on that lunation right now as I speak. And yeah, govern yourself accordingly. We're just going to jump right into the cards and see what this message or what comes of it, what continues or what's next. And I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a great weekend and your week is off to a powerful start so far. And that you feel this frequency of fresh that is in the air. I do. It feels revitalizing in an interesting way. Maybe regenerating. All right, so let's see what we got. The Empress, okay. What's good with the Empress? Ooh, what? Okay. The Four of Wands and the Seven of Pentacles. So something that's been something that has been invested in over a long period of time, or there's been a lot of energy put into, is finally come to some culminating point of success or achievement. Maybe someone took a lot of time working on themselves to become the Empress. You know, a lot of self-care, a lot of self-improvement, soul searching, you know, just really like doing the work, so to speak, from an interpersonal level, but maybe even outwardly too, aesthetically. We know the Empress is a symbol of beauty and elegance and attractiveness. So there definitely could be some type of upgrades, like a glow up of sorts that someone invested in, but from the inside out first. And then, of course, the outside eventually matches the inside if it didn't already, you know. Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. So we got the Ace of Wands. Yeah. Talk about becoming the object of affection in the most passionate sense here. Oh man, like being the apple of somebody's eye, making some man very happy in more ways than one, you know, driving a great deal of passion. What else though with that? Because it could even be the Empress's expression of happiness and love and passion in a very assertive way. I'm picking that up as well, like just embodying, like fully embodying that divine feminine self, you know, and operating out of that frequency almost, I want to say aggressively, but it is more of assertively, like knowing your, I don't want to say your role, because it's not that, like it's just like being so very certain and assured in your feminine, there it is, in your femininity, that you almost assert that posture in a masculine way, like very affirmative, you know, like you lead with that. You're not trying to be hardcore, you're not trying to be masculine per se, although, you know, it's implied that a feminine energy would have some balance of her masculine and feminine force. What she leads with, what she asserts, is what is innate to her. So that's what I'm picking up. And it clearly works, you know, like it brings the boys to the yard or it brings manifestations into fruition more easily, like fluidly, you know, literally like a wave of your wand, your scepter, and creativity is commanded to oblige. Something like that. Wow. So reaching back to the pre-shuffle, the preview, imagine somebody thinking that they left you for dead and you resurrect looking like that. You get a whole new life, you know, like I was saying, like a regeneration of sorts, where this is how you awaken or ascend. Okay, that tracks. That tracks. When they thought they was killing everything of value about you and around you and coming to you and connected to you, here you are surprisingly emerging with not only all that was lost intact, but so much more, and so much more power and influence and creativity on account of the losses or hits that you took. Yeah, so somebody ain't know, like they buried you and you literally grew up perhaps 1,000 times stronger, more magnificent, more resilient than ever before, more powerful. Yeah, more powerful. Just plain and simple. With the Ace of Pentacles. hearing God's gift to creation. Oh, okay. Wow. Because at first it was like, God's gift to man or whatever. I heard that and it was like, nope, scratch that. Creation. 1 o'clock lights up on the phone as I speak. Yeah, and that's just like a proclamation of true identity that hell might have even been news to you. You know what I mean? It's like whatever the assault that took place against you helped to forge a realization and an awareness about yourself that you could have perhaps lived your whole life without knowing for certain. So as I said, it's like what occurred actually ascended you into a more powerful identity, even if it's just a matter of your own esteem for yourself, your own confidence, your self-assuredness, just knowing who you are and being not just content with that, but actually being happy, quite pleased with that identity is not something to be taken lightly. It is a gift and it is a privilege, a great fortune that sometimes comes packaged in a peculiar way. And as I said, some may never, because you could go through the motions of an assault, an attack that was designed to transfer such a gift, a privilege, a fortune, and it completely miss you or you miss it for lack of understanding or forgiveness, healing, grace. So many things could kind of make that delivery or deliverance miss your address. So when you catch it in the spirit, as they say, and then it actually manifests in the flesh through your awakened life and your actual being in a way that is irrefutable, that is noticeable, that is evident, and not only just as by way of you as the embodiment, but also in the ways that it takes shape and form in your physical life, the things that you create, the achievements that you make, the wealth that you accrue in spirit and in flesh or in truth, the lives that you touch or inspire or influence or impact in some way. Like all of that is a testament to the necessity of everything that happened up until that point. Being quite necessary and quite justifiable. Now, it still doesn't excuse the offenses that were meant to have a contrary effect. There still has to be a reckoning for those offenses in one way, shape, or form. Perhaps in every way, shape, and form. But indeed, it has to be appreciated for what it's worth to you on the other end and what it has afforded you in your highest good and for your highest good. Yeah. Because that's undeniable power, creativity, inspiration, and actually something manifesting materially, financially, abundantly as a result. Like, come on. And it's sustainable because we're talking about the aces. So It's not just fly by night, here today, going tomorrow. Like, this is eternal energy that, again, just on the strength of leading in your innate identity, your supreme excellence as you aspire to it, on account of the assaults, on account of trial and tribulation, is the thing that fuels this spirit of happiness and contentment that we see here, that also is regenerative. Yeah, like it's literally never ending. It sustains itself, it refuels itself, like with each win, with each achievement, accomplishment, with each new day of experience, and just like blessing after blessing after blessing is what I'm getting the sense of. That's hard for me to articulate. Like, things just keep happening and occurring and manifesting and materializing in a way where it's like you don't have time to be anything less than grateful, anything less than happy. It's like, soon as you make one accomplishment, one achievement, here comes another through the back door. Here comes another that you're just stumbling into. Like, just perfect, most ideal situations just lining up for you in such a way that you can barely catch your breath on account of each new satisfying occurrence or experience. Wow. Yeah. And it only, of course, adds to the value of your empresshood, of your, it not only does it confirm the work, again, and the trial and tribulation and the perseverance, for the most part, that it took to achieve a certain status as empress through experience and the acquiring of wisdom, and so on and so forth. It further validates that position, like a renewal of confirmation at each turn that something else amazing gets to happen. Like, I really feel a need to drive that, because it's so amazing to me how I sense it. It's like, it's one thing to be confirmed, like, yeah, girl, you did that, like, that's what's up. You made an achievement, you got to a certain point that is commendable. But it's another thing for, like, you to like consistently, daily be reminded of just how earned that place of accomplishment truly is, by way of things that are actually and practically reflecting to you in your life. And then, of course, it's like compounding, as if, it could even get any greater, compounding onto that realization and that affirmation to expound it even more. Like I said, if it's even possible to do so, but it certainly would never depreciate at a certain point. At this point, it could only either be sustained or expanded, exalted that much more. That's interesting. Let me move over. Six of Cups, kind of in the struggle though. Something about the past. I keep hearing like reign supreme, like almost uncontested reign, undisputed reign, or what's the word? Is it contested or disputed? I guess so, like without challenge, like perhaps, to bring it back to the beginning, the resilience of all and the survival and transcendence of all that I talked about in the beginning is what solidifies that point of supremacy. And that's one thing. But then here comes the other things that like are that kind of come with the territory, so to speak. So it's not a matter of supremacy above anyone else, but it's just something about supremacy of self that is irrefutable and uncontested and undisputed. Yeah, undisputed. It's like you ain't never not going to be the queen. You ain't never not going to be the empress, not just on account of the big feat that was overcome, but then on account of how you just kind of like, you know, not to drag this energy into it, but kind of like how Beyonce held the crown for a very long time, where it was like the undisputed queen bee, you know? And in some regards, she still does, and probably in many ways always will, you know, in many capacities. But and I guess that's the point that I mean to say. My perception of it is something far more holistic than just being a great performer or an awesome singer or beautiful or whatever. It's like the totality of spirit and truth, and an identity that survives beyond the vessel, whether that be like the aesthetic vessel or even beyond the physical presence of the being in some way. So it's like, you know how it is, especially for us ladies, the moment, look at Rihanna, for instance, because she's been viral being a part of the concert too. And they've been dragging her after 3 babies about her physique. And it's like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? Like, the woman had 3 babies in less than 5 years. Give her a break, for crying. She ain't no young chicken like, what's her name? That just had the baby and looks like from pictures she so-called snapped back. Lotto, you know. I just saw a picture of her half naked, like, okay, girl, we see you. Congratulations. But like, yeah, it's different, you know, and it's, anyway, the point is, it's like, yeah, you be the queen, you'll be the bad girl or the sex symbol or the whatever, until that certain threshold when people start to pick you apart or question. You know, they may give you your props for this, but then they take away from you for that, and so on and so forth. And we're all subject to it as women, as we grow and age and evolve and so forth. But I'm saying that to say that this is something about kind of being in a position that, yeah, you may be beautiful. You may always have an essence of beauty about you, in a way that I believe Beyonce and Rihanna may as well, as long as they, for the most part, take care of themselves. But it's something that supersedes that. It's something about the presence and the essence of a woman in this particular power that again, cultivated their supremacy on a soul level first. They prioritize that 7 of Pentacles. They prioritize an investment in their spiritual affluence and abundance and wealth, even more so than the outside. But then to have all of that going for you too, and proven, what you call it when they say like proven success measures that also precede you, or let alone that are left behind in your wake. it kind of sustains you on this pedestal of greatness that nothing and no one can ever bring you down from. Certainly not in any superficial way. Certainly not, back to the Six of Cups, in any outdated way, like by the standards, the, American beauty standards, let's say, or social beauty standards that women, particularly, specifically, are held to. It's like something far beyond that, mainly because it is that much so for the person embodying this greatness, this magnificence in the first place. So that means that anything that is projected onto you just bounces off anyway. Like you're not even, as they used to say, like you Beyonce to the bullshit. It doesn't even affect you. So here we are again, back to the beginning, where someone tried to pull out all the stops, perhaps to forge an assault on who they believed you were at a more impressionable state, at a more vulnerable stage, maybe perhaps even in a more sensitive era or lifetime, And the reason why it wasn't fatal for you is because the approach from the outside in was outmatched by the resonance from the inside out, of which you can't really put your finger on because you have no real sure way to tell just how strong and resilient and powerful an empress is just by looking at them. You have no idea what makes them tick really and truly once they've reached a certain status of security and confidence. You have no idea how they've groomed that and cultivated that of themselves from the inside, because it's not worn like a Fenty lipstick. It's not evident necessarily in their fashion style. It's not so apparent on sight. And so when you forge an attack on a being such as that is built for it tough for all intents and purposes, you would be surprised. Someone that you thought was delicate, you thought was impressionable, you thought, you could either play on their heartstrings or break their heart, you would be surprised to realize just how resilient they actually are when you walk away and find. It's like those types of movies, like when person, like I said, they commit a crime, and matter of fact, even not even a movie, like I've actually seen clips like this in real, and like on YouTube and stuff, where they'll be interviewing a suspect, right? And how investigators and interrogators are, they real slick. So they'll be leading you in or leading you on and letting you kind of put on your show and cry your crocodile tears or play dumb, whatever it is you're going to do. And then they hit you with oh, they're still alive, whether they're in critical condition or whatever, but imagine they still alive and they identified you, they saw you, or they're coherent enough to actually identify or speak that you were the culprit, you were the offender. They go into complete shock and awe, because when they left that victim, they were supposed to be out for the count. There was supposed to be no witnesses left. So it's something like that where it's like, what? I threw everything in the kitchen sink, every attack I had in my arsenal, every favor I could call in, every projection I could think of, every insecurity I could play on that I know they had that was a pitfall of the past. everything that I could possibly do. I ran their name in the mud, badmouthed their businesses or their skills or their credibility, called them every name under the sun, drudged up false evidence against them, all types of stuff that was done, and yet and still you somewhere not just barely breathing on life support, heart beating, thriving, like beatboxing. It's beating so good, like on its own frequency. And that leads to the point where it's regenerated you in a way that makes you almost what's the right word, like I'm hearing indestructible, but like you can't even attack again the way ever again in the way that you may have been successful or impactful before, because it's like a whole nother creature, you know, that sustained what was supposed to put them down. So now what do? You done pulled all the tricks out of your bag. What do you do now? You know? So it's an astounding, and then like I said, to find out that there's an eyewitness or surveillance that was capturing everything that you didn't take into account, you didn't even know. Either a camera caught you, or it was a ring camera that caught you leaving the scene, or somebody's phone. I've seen that before too, like somebody's recording on their phone and the culprit didn't realize that the phone was recording the killer the whole time, and stuff like that happens in favor of souls that are protected a certain type of way, particularly innocent souls that, not maybe not all, and I'm not saying, you know, like those that have been affected or they've met their fatal blow from attacks or somehow at fault, but I'm just saying you can't get over on everybody all the time. And sometimes you meet your perfect match, the one that's going to put you, put you in your place right where you belong, you either in spiritually or physically in jail, incarcerated by your own actions and audacity. Here's the judge. Let's see what else. That's what I'm saying. Like, what about this judge? And shoot, we know that what the justice system misses, the divine one never does. Oh man, what's this? Oh, I picked it up backwards. I mean upside down. And I'm gonna leave it like that. Let me switch these. Yep, I'm gonna leave it like that because it makes sense to me. Somebody sacrificed their own freedom, put in all of the energy that they could possibly muster into doing something unlawful and unjustifiable. That's literally what that's given. The Nine of Wands upright should be resilience, like still having a chance to kind of bounce back even after a tough cycle or a lot of pressure, struggle. But this is like somebody being put under the jail. Maybe even, child. This is somebody on death row. In spirit and or in truth. That's what someone is facing or actually sitting on right now. Because like I said, it's like you may curb the system in the natural sense. May get off, may get a lesser sentence. Maybe you'll just get life. Maybe you'll even get off, scot-free in a funny way, in an ironic way. I don't believe so, because like I said, I'm getting the sense that it's not just a matter of a spiritual indictment here, but it's very possible with our justice system that you could get away with murder quite easily if the evidence isn't right, or if the prosecutor, the case isn't strong enough. But as far as the spirit is concerned, the verdict's already been read the moment the action was taken. The decision was made and the action was taken. So the consequence on account of that must be played out no matter what. So that how that could look is just somebody just living in a state of great loss and misfortune and disadvantage and feeling bound and stuck and held back and even mentally imbalanced, unable to ground themselves reasonably, feeling lost for direction and personal security, contentment, stability, having a lack of love in their lives, feeling like almost captivated by a harsh penalty of life, and having to live that out sometimes can be worse than just being put out of your misery. So that's what I'm saying. It could go either way. Ain't no telling. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Child. There it is. Now that is the card for jail. Well, sometimes it can be, because really Eight of Swords is like spiritual or mental imprisonment. But sometimes I see the Nine of Swords like that too. And it could even just be, like I said, someone paranoid and stressed out about the impending consequences. Maybe the judge hasn't even ruled just yet, or made it's pronounced his sentence or whatever, you know what I mean? Like it hasn't even been established or confirmed quite yet, and it's still like a stress, because like the evidence is there, it's damning, it's not like you are innocent, that what you're being accused of, 129 on the phone, is accurate and true, so it's not even like you can have that hope in the back of your mind, like, well, I know I didn't do this, so something has to come through. Justice has to be served. The truth must prevail. Like, this is somebody that knows that they're guilty. They just don't know how it's going to play out, how it's going to backfire, how they're going to what penalty they're going to have to pay for their guilt, especially now that the surprise element in the case is that victim that you left for dead, they're still alive and well and thriving and completely coherent to testify and willing to do so at that. And also, their phone was also recording the whole thing. And also, the Ring camera caught you leaving the residence at the time of the incident. And some neighbors actually, identified you as someone that they saw in the area or have seen in the area. And you know, your cell phone pinged on this tower over here at exactly such and such a clock. And you know, when you stop for gas a few miles up the road, yeah, we were able to track your credit card statements, your bank statements, so we know that you exactly that time you spent money on gas. You know, it's like everything. Not all, and God forbid there's some accomplice or some, you know, collusion of sorts, and they turn on you, and then their, you know, their testimony is golden and definitely kind of puts the nail in the coffin and shuts the case. It's like somebody's not getting, what do they say? They're not beating the allegations. That's what is given here. They have beat them for a long time. They've been getting away scot-free. This might not even be their first crime or their first incident or first attempt. But this time, they picked the right one and the wrong one. What's that? I'm gonna take that. 10 of Wands. Right next to the 9 in reverse. Yeah, this is a pressure that they can't escape. And they know it's about to come down heavy on them. They anticipate it, which probably also helps to solidify it, unfortunately. Because when that's what you're anxious about, it will ultimately become your reality, even and especially if you deserve it. All right, let me get one more. Yeah, it's like, oh, not justice. Oh my gosh. That's wild. Yep, all is fair. Yep. This is the ruling. This is the effect of, here it is. These are all the attacks. This is all the energy that maybe someone is being haunted by, you know, that suddenly they ain't got nothing but time to think, and considering all the things that they've done, all the people that they've hurt, all the crimes they've committed, all the attempts that they've made to create an injustice in some way, shape, or form, to take liberty where they had no right to do so. Like, everything is coming to mind now, like haunting them at night. They can't even sleep thinking about all the things that they are not only on trial for, but as I said, all the things that may not even be on the docket, you know, like, but they know that they're going to have some more to pay on account of that as well, as far as the spirit is concerned. Because you could go to jail, let's say, for one thing, and it might not even be necessarily like a fitting sentence for the crime judicially, right? But then you could go away and have a horrible experience away, which is pretty much like a luck of the draw type of thing. You could just do your time peacefully, more or less, because ain't nothing too peaceful about being away. Or it could be like hell on earth, and you go away and everybody's always effing with you, or you always gotta fight. You gotta protect your, you know, like protect your body in more ways than one. You don't have nobody on the outside that's willing to support you or, you know, do the bid with you. So you don't have no money on your books. You don't have nobody writing you consistently. Maybe your mama don't even hardly want to accept your calls, keep money on the phone, and so on and so forth. So it's like that. Like, you could have it one way, and then you could have a effed up situation be 1,000 times worse, because that's just the lot of the karma that's due to you, making up that difference of what maybe the justice system may have missed, or man-made laws didn't quite make it, didn't quite address. It could go down like that. Or like I said, you could not go to jail at all and your life just go to shambles. And that's just your everyday existence. Go to sleep feeling terrible. Don't even want to wake up the next day because there's nothing promising to look forward to. Surrounded by people that you can't trust or that don't have any pure, authentic love for you, or that only want to be around you for what you can do for them, or you don't feel like you can look yourself in the mirror on account of your own guilt and regret and shame. Maybe your reputation is now fucked and you can't even go outside or post on social media, which is more, more present, more modern, without feeling scrutinized, feeling talked about, people getting in your comments talking to you crazy, or whispers, like that feeling when you walk in a room and you feel like people was just talking about you, and all of that. You could live through that and that be like an imprisonment all on its own. But the justice here is saying that it's all fair. It's just what went around coming right back around to sender. And it'll be like, how spirit get down is you'll wish you could, somebody or something could put you out of your misery, goodness, literally, physically. And it'll be like, nope. Hell, you might even try to put yourself out of your misery, and it'll be like, nope, you're going to stay right here and live out this sentence till I say it's time for you to go to wherever is next. And you better hope you'd have good behavior through your sentence, or it's going to be more of this on the eternal side of things. So somebody don't even realize that the greatest gift that they may have is breath in their body to course correct, to make amends, to atone, to reform, to rehabilitate. But the hell you have to pay in the meantime, that dark, dark night of the soul, not the one that you go willingly through, or before you knew any better and you was just, searching for yourself, and boom, here you are all up in it. No, it's the one you get dragged through, perhaps kicking and screaming at first, until, if by grace and by mercy, you surrender your soul to be saved by integrity, through integrity. Some might not even make it to that point because it's so brutal. It's hilarious that the things that they may have afflicted upon others, again, with no intentions of you surviving it or ever being the same on account of it, as a result of it, they can't even walk a mile in the Empress's shoes. One little bad rumor, one little smear campaign, one little season of bad luck and misfortune, one little, stint at rock bottom, one little season of having to start over from scratch, one little moment of feeling lost and misunderstood and unsupported, and they about to fold, literally about to buckle under the pressure. Weak is what it's given. And not the SWV kind. What is that? The Seven of Cups. Confused, dazed, in a delusion. They don't even know which way is up. And then chose the fish in the cup And that's your start over. Completely vulnerable, completely dependent on something outside of you to nurture you, to nourish you, to relieve you. That's where this energy is now. Like literally in the physical form, like I said, when you have to depend on people on the outside to support your bid. You might not even eat well if they don't send you some groceries or put money on your books, because they don't feed you well in jail at all. Imagine what the water and stuff might be like with that fish in the cup if the food is subpar, not even, sometimes inedible. And I know that, not as a first-hand account, but close enough, unfortunately. But yeah, it's given that like somebody's been brought down to such a vulnerable state and sensitive state as they were, either trying to impose upon someone else, victimize someone else, or take advantage of that state within someone else. Now that's where they are. Literally, what went around has now come back around, and now it's their turn to find a spirit of resilience to survive and to sustain themselves. And the grace ain't the same when you're actually guilty of offenses and it wasn't like you confessed or came to any type of repentance on your own cognition. No, you had to be proven guilty. You had to be apprehended in your guilt. There's a different, that cup tastes different. It's a lot more bitter to the tongue when you have no choice but to drink it or else. And in this case, as I sense, you don't even have the luxury to die. This is bleak, man. And meanwhile, this is the pre-empress. Back at the ranch, all is well. Completely independent, secure, stable, not just financially sound, but always with the Nine of Pentacles, it's a spiritual stability that came before the Pentacles. That's why it's so sustainable. That's why it's dependable. That's why it's not fleeting. That's the resilience that couldn't be seen from the outside in, because somebody just thought you were just a sitting duck, a damsel in distress, somebody too oblivious to know that they were actually being preyed upon. They didn't know all that you did, all the sacrifices that you made, the seeds that you had sown to be in this position here. You earned the right to be unbothered. You didn't steal it. And the Page of Wands. And this is the hope for someone to find their way onto that starter path. Like, this is the best case scenario, the best news somebody can get from the state that I'm speaking of, that you actually have a chance to find your way to a beginning that will allow you to make better choices this time around, to kind of start from scratch, to take the same pathway that everybody else has to take, even those that may have started as a Page of Cups or in a Six of Cups situation, that were upside down, no enlightenment as the Hangman, been through hella trials and tribulations, been on the opposite side of hella predators, unknowingly in many cases, and still needing to maintain some semblance of self-respect and dignity and grace, composure. Everybody's had the same invitation. But the best news for someone that is facing perhaps a life sentence, maybe sitting on death row, I don't know, whatever it is bleak. It's bleak. But the good news, the silver lining here is that there's still an opportunity to change and to do something different, to make better choices. So I guess we shall see how it all plays out, or maybe we won't, but they will. That's for sure. They shall see for sure. 1:46 on the clock. All right, so anyway, I'm done here. Thanks for listening and watching. Until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.